Can the United Nations be taken to court over a cholera outbreak? It's now up to a judge to decide whether to allow a lawsuit filed by a group of Haitians against the UN to proceed. CCTV's Liling Tan reports.
It's an unprecedented and dramatic lawsuit, a group of Haitians and Haitian Americans pitting themselves against the United Nations, the UN Stabilization Mission in Haiti, and the UN Secretary General.
So we argued today that the United Nations cannot enjoy immunity in this suit when the United Nations is responsible for the death of over 8,500 people.
The plaintiffs are blaming UN peacekeepers for spreading cholera in Haiti, and they're seeking remedies for personal injury or death from what is the worst cholera epidemic in modern times. But before they can do that,
this is a significant hearing because it's the first hearing since the case was filed a year ago in October 2013. But it's also an important one because arguments on both sides address a very fundamental question: UN immunity versus UN impunity.
That question will determine whether the case can go to trial. Lawyers from the U.S. government, acting on behalf of the UN as its host country, argued for the case to be dismissed under UN immunity laws. But lawyers for the plaintiffs argued that because the UN failed to comply with its obligation to provide alternative modes to settle disputes, it has left plaintiffs no choice but to seek justice in court.
And so under the circumstances where the UN has refused to comply with those obligations, which they have done, they've rejected the claims that we filed directly with the UN. They have refused to establish a claims commission. And under all of those circumstances, the UN cannot enjoy immunity in this case.
The case dates back to 2010 when Haitians barely recovering from the wreckage wrought by the earthquake were further devastated by the ensuing cholera epidemic. Evidence from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention later provided strong indication that UN peacekeepers were the source of the outbreak, but the UN has denied any links, and its own investigation into the cause was inconclusive. The lawsuit was among several others filed against the UN after the world body said it would not compensate Haiti's cholera victims. Liling Tan, CCTV, New York.